So Clarence and Robin, thank you so much for joining us on the show here today. Before we get started, how about you guys give us just a quick introduction, who you are, where you guys do your short-term rentals, and really what you guys are up to.
Hey, thank you. I'm Clarence Harrison. Folks know me as Norfolk CPA. This is Robin Bill, my fiance. We run our short-term rental business together. We are in the great state of Virginia, and most of our properties are what we call the southeastern part of Virginia, in the area called the Hampton Road. So Virginia Beach, Norfolk, Chesapeake, Hampton, Portsmouth. So that's where we conduct our business. And, we've been doing this. We got our first property onboarded, purchased one in 2019, went operational beginning part of 2020.
Oh, I love this already. So much to go through. Let's start with that. You start in 2019 when all intents and purposes, the data would have showed at the time, 2019, peak of the short-term rental market. Well,
Right.
2020 comes, now there's not a single plane in the sky. What was like
Right.
for you guys for your first Airbnb?
It was very interesting. And, I think our property, we went live, I believe that January. And so January was good, February was good, and then we had bookings and pandemic happens, and then we saw the cancellations, and this was on our first property. But it actually was better than what I anticipated. So although we did have a lot of cancellations, that I think our worst month was either that March or February, and I was going to be happy even if we broke even, and we still managed to get a small margin above what our carrying costs were. And then by the time May came and then June came, June was great, and then we were able to pick up a couple of more units in that year as well.
That's great. And in the year of 2020, we're talking about.
Yes. Yep.
Fantastic. Let's just stay right here for a little bit, because people, before they first start, one of their biggest apprehensions, they say, hey, Donnie, listen, I don't want to get stuck in a situation where I'm stuck with a lease and I'm feeding a lease. And, I tell them, and this is always because of, for all intents and purposes, there's a possible recession on the horizon here, right? So, hey, no one has a crystal ball in their hand, but looks like we're heading towards one. So I tell everybody, listen, the worst thing that ever happened to a short-term rental business isn't a recession. It's a global pandemic that shuts down all travel. So did you guys still host on short-term rental, or did you guys do some sort of pivot?
We, during that pandemic, we still had the short-term rentals, and then we happened to get one of my partners. She actually booked us for a 30-day stay. So that actually was very helpful during that down period. And but it was possibly looking like, hey, this might be scary. But what I try to tell folks, even my clients that come to me outside of doing this business, I am a CPA, have various tax accounting clients. I tell them, look, what do the numbers say? And my motto is, if you buy right or rent right, in this case, when we're doing arbitrage, I think the worst case scenario, you should at least be able to get what fair market rent is, because you have a property that is fully furnished. People always need somewhere to stay. So worst case scenario, we should at least be able to get what fair market rent is in a healthy market. So
yeah, that's bang on. And that's what I did, how I pivoted. We went straight to corporate rentals. We covered all the bills. We weren't out a penny. So love hearing that from someone from a completely different area. Speaking about a different area, we are getting so many calls from the DMV area. And one of the comments we get is, hey, they don't want to do the DMV area. They don't think there's enough population. It's not big enough. So Robin's giving me the So what do you guys have to say about that? What made you guys realize that, no, we can do this here and we can flourish here?
Yeah, well, kind of my first introduction, if you will, my other partner, who's the CPA, she had been telling me about this corporate leasing thing for a while. And she said, Clarence, you got to get into this. Clarence, you got to get into this. This is Dr. Janice. And she started showing me her statements from Airbnb and her 1099s of how much income she has. And I have a CPA that's telling me, you need to get into this business. And so after I saw her numbers, I'm like, wait a minute, on this property, you're getting this. And then she had another property in a neighborhood I used to live in, and I was struggling to get $1,400 per month in regular rent. And over the course of 4 months, she was getting $16,000. I'm like, wait a minute, 16,000 over 4 months. That's like 4,000 a month. And I was struggling to get 1,400. Wait a minute. I need to get in this game. And so, I collaborated with her, and then I did my research, found Sean Rocky G's Airbnb Automated. We started hitting up all his YouTubes that he would put out, his Instagram. We got in his Course Cracking Superhost. And so we went right at it.
Can I just say you're actually the second guest ever on the show to say his last name correct, Rakajich. So great job. We're rocking. We're rocking.
Okay.
Let me ask you this. You got this data, you got the statements, it all looks great. Is this something that you had to come home and convince Robin? Or was it something that, hey, made sense to her and you guys were both blasting off from day one?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it made perfect sense to me, because I love the idea of being able to accommodate families in a home where they can feel like they're still at home. And even during the pandemic, because we were on quarantine, that's how a lot of people traveled. They traveled in family and in groups. And so
Right.
it was easy for us to stay consistent, because we of course we offer clean furnished accommodations, and a lot of times people, because they were getting stir crazy, they had to go somewhere. So they were traveling by car, and then they would come to one of our clean furnished accommodations with the backyard. And so they felt very comfortable. But yeah, Clarence didn't have to convince me at all. I love the hospitality industry. I think I love what we do. I love to meet our guests. 80% of our guests are travelers. They come from another part of the world. So yeah, it's definitely been a fun journey for both of us.
That's incredible. That's absolutely incredible. For those who are just joining us, what's really telling about their success and how well their operations are is Clarence and Robin have 16 properties, but they're all single family homes or townhouses with 3 more in the pipeline. Now, was that something you guys identified from the beginning? Because Robin, you had just said that, hey, we like hosting families. Is that something you guys identified from the beginning and that's what you decided as your niche? Or how did this whole thing roll out for you guys?
Well, it kind of just happened. And part of our portfolio, so we got some properties we actually own. So about 4 of the properties we have ownership interest in, and then the other properties are rental arbitrage models we had. And then we've used this as a way to practice the art of group economics. And we even got some of our other partners, hey, you want to get in on this? It's cool that you can clean with us and you can be part of the maintenance team, but you put up some money, we can do some properties together. And so we've actually got some of our other partners invested in us on some of the properties. So it's been fun. It's been a great way to include others in this. So yeah, we're happy.
That's incredible. Incredible. So, Robin, you had just touched on this about what your experience is. What would you guys define? Do you guys have a name for the company, for the hospitality group yet?
We actually have a couple of different units. So, she has her own cleaning company, 5-star.
5-star cleaning.
5-star cleaning. Me and her, we have our entity together called Robin Harris LLC.
Wonderful.
Yeah. So.
Wonderful. Because it seems like you guys are so well, established. What would you guys say at this point, 2 years in, you're on the way to get into close to 20 properties. What sets you guys apart? How have you guys defined yourself in the marketplace?
It's interesting because although we do know that there are other hosts in the area, we don't find a lot of folks that are just doing this on a large scale in our area. So even when I hear you say, no, I don't want to go to B&B, it ain't nothing there. Like, what? At least in our part of the V, we just see more opportunity. What do you think?
Well, I think that it's the service that we offer. We truly understand that this is the hospitality industry. And a lot of individuals kind of get into Airbnb because they're looking for a passive income. And we truly work hard to make sure that our guests are comfortable, and we just make sure that we put our guests first. And I think that's what's mostly been a sign of our success, or the blueprint to our success with our growth, is just making sure that we provide quality service and it's professional. We're constantly checking on our guests, making sure that if there's anything that they need, we try to have conversation with them after the first night stay. We want to check in with you. How are you doing? And it helps to call a live voice. And he told me I like messaging. Sometimes I don't like to, but he got me out of that. And so now I pick up the phone, and I can't tell you, people are so overjoyed that I call and I say, "Hi, I'm Robin. I'm your Airbnb host. I'm just calling to check in with you. Is there anything that we can do for you, or anything that you need?" And so it just helps to curtail any potential problems when you actually pick up the phone and call them. So I think that part has really contributed to our success.
That's great. That's great. While we're on the topic here, it's starting to seem like you guys have defined roles. How do you guys operate this business between the two of you? What roles do each other take over here?
So my role, I'm on the front end. So I'm looking for the opportunities. I'm running the numbers to see how profitable a particular property may be. If we want to bring in other partners, I'm again still vetting the numbers, showing them, doing the financial analysis. Hey, if we do this, this is what this is going to look like. And then in terms of the setup, I'm usually very involved in the staging aspect of the property, setting up what we're going to put in there. We like, depending on the properties, we always have some combination of bunk beds in some rooms, TVs in every room. I help with the cameras and things like that, and the automation and done. And once it's set up, and she still helps with the setup as well, but once it's completely set up, then she kind of takes over and she manages our cleaning crew, the coordination with the guests. So
Absolutely.
Wonderful. So it sounds like, Clarence, you're more of the back end, more of the numbers, more of the analysis, and then really Robin is the front facing, almost the spirit that drives the hospitality side.
Oh yeah,
Oh
absolutely.
yeah.
Thanks for pointing that out.
Yeah, you can tell. You can definitely tell. Wonderful, guys. So let's do a quick a recap through the history. So you guys started. Clarence got a hot tip from a fellow peer in the accounting industry, ran some numbers, and you guys said, "Hey, let's give this a shot." So how did you get the first one live and on the platform?
okay, so how we kind of got started on the first one. I'm very networked, so I reached out to my folks and let folks know, hey, I'm looking for property. And so one of my good friends, Matthew Obenas, he found a townhouse that he was about to list, and it needed some work. And he said, "You want to get this, Clarence?" I went over there in Virginia Beach and I looked at it. I said, "I sure do." So we purchased it, we rehabbed it, and then about a month, boom, we had that on short term. We had that on short-term rental. And then the next property after that, we did a lease option. So, and so we had that. Then the next property, we did another lease. So, and kept growing from that standpoint.
That's wonderful. Do you guys go together to meet the landlords? Who does more of the initial kind of pitching and negotiating? Clarence?
Definitely Clarence.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
usually that's me. And how they can come from different areas. Some of our I call them our partners. Some of our partners are some of my tax clients who I know have rental properties, or I even will go out to my network and say, hey, if you know folks who are frustrated landlords, they don't want to do it, I can probably help them with their property. And now, because folks know what we're doing now, we're even getting other referrals. So if someone needs a property manager, I'll get those referrals. Hey, I heard that you do property management. I got this property. Like, I got an out-of-state owner. We're about to take over his duplex and onboard that now. And so that was for somebody, he was looking for a property manager, someone referred him to me. We're
Yeah,
in.
I'm sure now it's more of a problem of turning down properties and leads and people trying to work with you guys, I'm sure.
Yeah, we're definitely at that stage where we have grown, and now we need to take a moment back, kind of look at our process, improve our processes, and so we can get to that next evolution of scaling.
About your processes, I really want to turn to Robin for this. As you know, Robin, the first 4 properties is nowhere close to the 15th property, and 15 is going to be nowhere the same as when you get to 20 and 25 and beyond. What was like for you scaling this thing up, and what were the biggest hurdles you were running into as you had to understand that, hey, we're growing at a fast pace. I got to keep this thing together.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think one of the biggest hurdles was finding individuals who we could rely on, finding good team members that could see the vision and our goals, and they want to learn and also eventually become investors themselves. So we kind of structure our team based on the fact that we want to teach, and we want our teammates to also have interest in the business by having an actual property of their own one day that we can help get off the ground. So we offer that mentorship to a lot of our members, and that was a hurdle, just finding good people, finding cleaners that that would clean properly. That's been the main thing, just making sure that we're building a strong team of individuals who want to learn and grow and get into this business.
Let me throw this at you. Was this a function of not being able to find, long-term team members, so therefore we had to give them a higher vision? Or was it the opposite, where it's, hey, we're having troubles finding people, so let's find the highest caliber, and then we'll make sure that they're going to stay for the long term, because from day one, they're locked into the bigger vision?
Oh, that's a good question. It's a mixture of both. We have those that come in at a higher scale already interested in wanting to learn and grow with us. And then I have some that may be family that we have to, we cultivate, and we're a little more close in training and building those individuals up. So it's a mixture of both that we have. Yeah.
Gotcha. Now, in terms of leadership, do you both work closely with the team, or is this once again more of a Robin thing because she's dealing with front-facing operations?
Well, she definitely interfaces more with, let's say, the cleaning aspect of the team. Usually the folks that are more contractors, so the plumbers, the handyman, maintenance folks, that'll usually be me, but we both interface with both sides.
Wonderful, wonderful. You guys seem like such a well-balanced team. It's great, both personality-wise, your skill sets, even just the way you guys attack this interview here. It's amazing.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So let me throw it to you guys this way, because you guys are at 4 properties or so, and now that you've kind of started almost develop some JV deals with your internal team, right? Setting the
Yep.
grand vision, where it's, hey guys,
Mhm.
this isn't about the job. It's about what is it about? How do you guys set that vision for them?
There are some individuals who, who are close to us, and we set the vision and let them know it could be this. And sometimes mindset, they might not be ready for that. But we still introduce it, we get them involved. Then there are some individuals who we don't have to do any selling. They are already lined up. Hey, Clarence, I want to get in. Clarence, Robin, we want to get into the next deal. What you got? Look, hey, I got some money. I got some resources. How can I get involved? And so, and it's a great to be at that point where we can kind of pick and choose whoever we may want to JV with at this point. And now it's not even about so much what specific, like they just have money. Now we're looking at more strategic fits, like even all the people who we collaborate with in the business. I have one of my main furniture suppliers, our pest control. Now they want to get involved. And so now I'm thinking, okay, how can we put we got our attorney, we got our pest control, we got our furniture distributor, we got our other cleaning company, we got our contractors, our handyman. How can we put all of us, and let's really do some real scaling at this point.
Yeah.
So even in the back of my wall, I got just plans written out. So
Oh yeah.
we haven't even scratched the surface yet.
So is that to say that instead of going more of partnership deals per property, you're almost looking to build almost like a little continuum, a little fund where people can invest and get into larger scale projects?
Yeah, absolutely. It's really both. So as folks say they are interested and they want to JV with us, we'll start an entity, we'll get the first deal. And then, so we have various little companies at this point. And so one entity might have 3 properties, another entity has 4 properties. Our entity, we got our own 4 properties, but we still manage everything. And we have ownership interests in all of the things. And so, but each individual entity that we build with whomever the partners may be, we map out what do we want our strategy to be. We take a look at the numbers. Hey, what's our acquisition strategy? We want to get a property every 6 months. Where do we want to go? And so we've just been building this thing. And
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And is it fair to say that they're coming in some sort of limited partnership? And then are you guys the ones who are driving the business and still making sure that the property is performing?
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
We're definitely driving the business. And as we're getting bigger, with the thing that we're trying to do is because I do believe, and I think Robin would agree with me, we want to get to the business where the business does not require us to be in the business. So we do want to be able to teach others to do certain aspects of the business.
Right. Great. Okay. I love this interview so much, and there's a reason why normally we go into a lot of the basic stuff and getting people there, but I think for you guys, it's just so important that we can almost teach the more advanced students what it takes to get to this level now. Because again, at 16, you guys will be at 20 units before the end of the year, I believe, at least for the next few months.
We got the 3 just already
In the pipeline, ready to go.
Yeah.
It's such a different game, right? On all aspects. So just on, say, the accounting side, for somebody who's just starting off, would you recommend they get an LLC from day one?
That answer is, it always depends. Disclaimer, I don't know your individual tax situation. Please consult your own CPA attorney or just hire me. But here's why I like the LLC. The LLC gives you flexibility. It gives you flexibility. It is a separate legal entity. So what I usually tell folks who want to get in business, and specifically this business, first thing is create a separate legal entity. LLCs typically are pretty good. Get your EIN number, get your separate business bank account, right? And I think there are certain team members you need to have in place in general business and specific to this business. You need a relationship with a good banker. You need a relationship with an attorney. I call it the climb team: CPA, lawyer, insurance, marketing, banker. That's rule 4 of my 10 rules for entering a business startup game. So get your climb team: CPA, lawyer, insurance, marketing, banker. And then specific to this industry, in my case, you want to have someone who can give you that proper education. Like, in our case, Sean Rocky Jeets, he's that leadership. And we're grateful that we found him on YouTube. We got him cracking super hosts. We get on the calls on Saturday, able to interface with them. So and there are specific other partnerships you need to kind of have in place. Have right cleaning partner, that's very critical. The right contractor handyman, that is a very critical part. Right landscaper, if you're not doing apartments, you're doing a single family home, you got to have the right relationship with the right landscaper, the right relationship with the right pest control. All these individuals are your team members that's going to help you keep your business in peak condition.
This is great. This is absolutely great. What about in the very beginning? Who would you say, maybe we can't get the climb team, right? Maybe not a lot
Mhm.
of people can figure out, well,
Mhm.
never really spoke the banking language. I don't even know how to get in there and what to say. What would you say would be the number one? Number one, you got to get this person on your team. If it's just someone starting a business for the first
Mhm.
time.
Good call.
I'm partial to CPAs.
Me too,
uh,
for the record.
CPA lawyer, I always want to go with them because the CPAs and the accountants, they help you to analyze the numbers.
Mhm.
The attorneys help you with the contracts, and sometimes I've even done the cardinal sin of not putting the attorney on the front end where I've done a contract myself. And I'm a CPA and I think I'm pretty savvy with business. And you know what? It came to bite me in the back in a couple of times in recent times. So I had to go back to the attorney, pay them
Mhm.
to get the right contracts, what I should have just did in the first place. And I know better.
Got it.
So yeah, I definitely would say lawyer, CPA, and a coach who knows
And the
how to do the
coach.
business.
That's wonderful. You know, I throw in there as well. You guys may not have said it, but you are clearly the living example is to find a partner with complementary skills, right? So,
Absolutely.
right, if you're the analyst, go find the salesperson. If you're the front of house hospitality person, go find the accountant because whatever you are the strongest at,
Mhm.
you're going to do so fast. It's going to come natural. Even with the coach, you're going to figure it out. But the things that are the opposite, polar opposite of your skill set, your behavior set, it drags you down. It zaps your energy. It takes you so long to get through. So having that complementary partner really accelerates the business.
Yeah,
For
absolutely.
sure.
Yeah, and we complement each other very well. She has strengths that aren't necessarily my strengths, and then there are some things that I'm more, in tune with. And so there are times that she says, "Well, Clarence, you have to have more heart when you have these conversations." Hey, that's what you're for.
Absolutely. You guys did bring up a little bit about the Cracking Superhost program. Now, I do want to really talk about the taxes as well, but the Cracking
Yep.
Superhost program, how was that for you guys? Like you guys are clearly very talented. You're very confident in your execution,
Yeah.
very highly skilled as well. What did the Cracking Superhost program bring for you guys?
Well, it still continues. Because I still go in there. I mean, even if I'm at my desk and I'm doing other work, I can just pull up that and still go through things, go through the different lessons. I want to keep absorbing and keep absorbing. And there's still a lot of growth that we have that we still are obtaining certain things. And I think case in point, uh, the other day we were talking about, okay, how do we really do the multi-calendar, right? And what are the strategies for the multi-calendar, especially when we're not in the hot season? What are some different things, the rule sets that we can put in? And these are things I just learned from going to Cracking Superhost, listening to Sean Rocky Jeech, and I will go back in and look at it again, and I'll say, "Hey, Robin, we got this course. Let's listen to
It's
it."
been a game changer. We're so grateful. I mean, we follow him to the T. We really follow Sean. He's been an extreme mentor for us. He may not even know us, but he doesn't even realize how important he's been to our business. And once I took the course and I really honed in on my area of expertise, which is the hospitality, and then he touched on inventory and he touched on retention. These are things that really strengthen my skills with helping us grow. Yeah, it's been a total game changer. Like Sean is everything, like to us, to our business, for sure.
That's great. That's really great. And you said that you're continuously using it. So now that you're at this stage, again, breaching 20, what have
Mhm.
been the big aha moments? Maybe things that you listened to it in the beginning, but it didn't quite click. And now when you're listening to that third, fourth, fifth, seventh time, it's like, that's what he meant. Can you guys share those aha moments as of recent?
Yeah, one of the aha moments is even how to handle claims, where, hey, I've heard it before, but then we have to go through some experiences and see where we did the claim process okay, and where we could have did something different. And so now we can go back and listen to the different conversations where we say, hey, when you're doing a claim process with Airbnb, the air cover, make sure you got da 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 da. Another thing, again, even utilizing the multi-calendar.
Chapter 7, baby.
Yeah, it's those things that we're going back into. And there are other discussions that there are other things that I know I want to do and I haven't even touched on that he talks about. Like, we haven't even got to where we're pitching to the apartment complexes yet.
Oh, right.
That's something that I want to go ahead and start doing. That's going to be one of the next phases that we're going to get into. So we've just been doing single family here, single family here, single family here, maybe a duplex here. But we got the foundations, and now we need to do the next evolution. And I'm sure there's going to be new aha moments.
Yeah, here's a big one, because you guys already have such a big portfolio and such a successful business with all the numbers to back it up. I think my hunch is that you guys on your apartment side, you're going to blow up extremely fast. Even with those landlords, specifically landlords with multiple units. But I think the big opportunity for you guys will be property developers getting those lease ups in place, right? New construction, and they need to get that next round of funding contingent on leases in place. You guys are going to roll in and just take entire buildings. It's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, and another critical thing that actually just made me think about something is asking for concessions.
Yes.
And I know a lot of folks, maybe in the beginning, they're just trying to get in. They might not be as aggressive and assertive in their stance and saying, I want this as a concession. But, once you've been in the game a little while, you're like, oh, man, I know what I'm doing. And so, no, I get those free months, and, and sometimes if it's not what it is, I'm willing to just walk away because I'm confident we can get something else in the pipeline.
Okay.
And we had to walk away with the deal that we even started putting stuff in there. And then, this particular property owner, they kept trying to change deals. Like, look, that ain't what we wanted. We'll come back. And so
let's touch on this a little bit more, because when we're on the phone and I'm talking to, maybe new students or people who are just kind of deciding if they want to join Sean on more of the advanced side, the coaching side, one of the things that they can't believe is they say, Donnie, why would maybe a landlord, because they're a big company, but why would a single family homeowner ever give you free rent? It just sounds so impossible. So can you guys touch on that? Because I feel like everyone, when they start, they always think that a property owner would never do that. So first off, what are you guys' thoughts on that in terms of the mentality, the click, and how many months is your guys' standard now in terms of rental concessions?
On average, I'm gonna say about 2 months. Sometimes I've got, I've settled for 1 month or 1.5 months, and sometimes I've gotten 4 months. One deal we did with a partner who helped broker it. We got the property owner. We said, hey, we'll pay you this rent. We still want 2.5 free months, but we'll pay you this rent. However, if you furnish it, we'll pay you $150 more per month. Yeah. And then at the end of the 3 years, you keep the furniture.
Oh, yeah.
So like, you take option A, take option B. Either way, it works for us. He's like, you know what? And we gave him, hey, 8,000. Here's the listing of what we need. He said, hey, here's 8,000. Give me $150 more per month. So we've done deals like that. I've got to the point where I've had one property, and this has happened a couple of times, where we have one property partner, and then they'll say, hey, I want to go get another property. Can you take this one over for me? So
we're real confident in our infrastructure, and a lot of times when you go to these landlords, they basically just want you to take care of their home without contacting them. So we pitch to them that we have handymen, we have cleaners. If you'd like to come in at any time during a particular day, you can come see your property, come take a look and see how we're taking care of your property. And we just provide a service that you don't get from long-term tenants. And so, just taking that worry out of their minds has been really successful too. Clarence is good at it. He closes these deals down.
Yeah, I love it already because Clarence, well, I should say Robin, you kind of give them the concept, right? You just illustrate the concept, which is, Mr. Landlord, we're going to do your job essentially, and we're going to do better than even you can do it because we're going to
Right.
have, eyes on the property several times a month, if not a week. We're going
Mhm.
to keep it in showroom condition. We're going
Yep.
to repair this because we have the Rolodex, all
Yep.
at our dime. But then that's what kind of gets their ears perked up because they
And
figure
another
out,
thing I add, and check this, another thing I add to them, I said, look, we're not going to be like the typical property management company. So you say your rent, you want $1,500 per month. You know what? We're going to do it $1,500 per month, and we're not going to take out 10% or 15%. You're going to get a true $1,500 per
that's
month.
right. That's right. I should get a
So
gong for this show, man. You guys spitting fire here today.
bars.
Okay, so now we can establish that you can easily get, rental concessions for single family homeowners when you understand the deal, you understand what keeps landlords up at night, and more importantly, you explain what's in it for them. Now, the cool
Yep.
stuff, obviously, Clarence, when you get into the particulars and you get into the terms of the deals, that's what really, is the icing on the cake. So that's all done. Now, when you guys are moving forward, are you guys getting bigger properties? Are you guys, I heard you guys getting duplexes. What does the new deals look like? Or more importantly, what is getting your attention now? What are you guys really looking towards for in terms of growth?
Great question. You want to start?
In terms of growth, what are we looking
Or
for?
what type of properties are we looking at? What do we want to get now?
Well, of course, we haven't even cracked the surface with apartment buildings.
For me, the baseline is always going to be, I'm a numbers guy. So the baseline is always going to be, what do the numbers say?
Mhm.
So I'm always going to start there. And now we try to look at different properties. We even stylistically, what do we want a property to look like? How are we going to furnish this one different? We got one property has arcade machines. We actually got a couple of properties that have arcade machines, and we got one property that's Marvel DC Comics themed, another
Nice.
property that we call Queen's Lounge that is about feminine energy. We have one property that's all themed big cats, lions, tigers, leopards.
Lion's Den, yeah.
And we have some concepts of future things that we want to do. Of course, there's certain cities that we know we want to,
location.
certain locations within the
driver.
cities that we want to be in. So starting with the numbers, that's always the foundation. What do the numbers dictate? And then kind of basing everything else off of that.
Gotcha. When you're working with your clients, let's say you're helping them get started in the game, how are you advising them on the numbers when it's an arbitrage deal versus when it's a purchase deal? What kind of numbers are you looking for to ensure that's a sound deal?
Well, the first thing, let's say we're going to talk arbitrage. The first thing I'm going to ask them is, what type of return on investment are you looking to make on your money? So, hey, if you had to put up $10,000, how much do you want to see back in cash flow on that $10,000 over the course of a year?
Mm.
And sometimes they think about that. A lot of times they haven't thought of it in that terms.
And they'll say something like, well, as much as possible, Clarence.
They do say that, or they'll ask me, well, what's a good return, Clarence? I don't know what's a good return for you. What's your next best investment alternative that you have?
Ah.
So you have to kind of think about that and comparing the risk of that. And then the next question I'll ask them, because some folks will say, well, I want to make X amount of dollars. Well, how involved in the business do you want to be? That plays a factor. If you want to be very passive, then you got to be willing to leave enough meat on the bone where other people can make money. So if you want to be very passive, then maybe the model is, if we partner up, what guaranteed rent you want. And if I can accommodate that guaranteed rent that you want $1,300 a month, great. I'll guarantee you $1,300 a month over this 3 years. Don't count my pocket what I get over it, but you're going to get your $1,300 a month. Here's the tax benefits you're going to get from that. And then let's work on the next property that we're going to do, because I think as a property owner, you want to use that as a wealth building strategy. And do you want to get one property per month? We're already going to be guaranteed tenant. We're going to take care of your property. So
that's great. That's great. Let me ask you this. Let's say someone's just starting off. What are the best practices that new hosts should be considering as they're getting themselves set up for success? You'd mentioned obviously trying to get the climb team, but in terms of accounting, I find that a lot of people will run into, this is their very first business they've ever started. They're moving from a 9 to 5. Most likely their entire network, their friend group is 9 to 5, and they're venturing off their own. What are some best practices to set those people up so that at the end of the year, they hand their file over to the CPA, and it's like the CPA can go, oh yeah, I can work with this.
Okay. Foundation 1, separate business entity. Foundation principle number 2, separate business bank account. Do all your business transactions in your business bank account. Your personal stuff, keep that in your personal account. If you need to pay yourself from the business, cut a check from your business to you personally. Don't just spend personal stuff in your business bank account. So separate business bank account. That right there, you still should add another layer of getting accounting and bookkeeping in place. But even if you're not that great, if you can just master separate business bank account, all my business transactions goes through this, then you can at least take those bank statements, take it to whatever respectable accountant, CPA, bookkeeper that you're utilizing, and they can compile your records for you. The next evolution, if you want to take it a step further, would be to incorporate some sort of bookkeeping program. I wish I had an endorsement with QuickBooks, because I keep saying, get QuickBooks. Then I get a check, but maybe you can help me get that endorsement. But get an accounting program like a QuickBooks. And if you don't want to do it yourself, you can hire a bookkeeper. But if you got the time, honestly, you just pay someone, an accountant who's versed in QuickBooks, they can train you. And when you're starting off, if you spend 5 minutes a day just updating your transactions, it'll keep your QuickBooks in good order. I like to, and so this is what I would say foundationally for the first property. I like to have a separate account for each business account for each property.
Even if it's arbitrage?
Even if it's arbitrage, yeah.
Now we're talking.
You don't have to, but I like it because now you can cleanly see, hey, here's all the activities of this property. Here's all the activities of this property. When I buy supplies for property B, here's the debit card I'm using for property B.
Gotcha. Very cool. How about in terms of someone who may be buying their first investment property? Is it too advanced for them to purchase it on an LLC? I think that's a whole other thing. But let's say they purchase their first investment property. How are they setting up the LLC in that regards?
So are they purchasing it first in their name, or did they go straight into purchasing it in their LLC?
Let's say their name, because I would say 99% of the people we're talking to is purchasing in their name.
Okay, so you purchase the property in your name. I still would recommend that you have a separate business entity and then have that entity be your property manager per se.
Gotcha.
And, so when you go to Airbnb or whatever booking platform you're using, Airbnb is paying that entity. Your business bank account is set up in this LLC entity. That's what I would recommend.
Got it. So exact same format then.
Yep.
Okay. Let's get more advanced. I think recently, or maybe in the past, you had put out a post where you said you switched from an LLC to an S Corp. So can you explain that strategy?
Oh, someone's did a little bit of homework on me. Well, that kind of goes back to what type of income activities that we're doing. And when we're talking about rental properties or arbitrage, it can, as long as you don't do certain activities to not make it passive, it's going to be a passive income, a passive activity. And what that kind of means from an IRS perspective, if something isn't passive, so let's just say me as a CPA, I do your tax return. I'm gonna have some income, a profit at the end of the day. As a sole proprietor, I'm going to be subject to self-employment tax. Rental property is not subject to self-employment tax. Even when we're doing rental arbitrage, as long as you're not doing activities to make it non-passive, it will still have the favorable tax treatment. Now, what are some of the activities that you can't do that if you do these activities is going to take it away? So if you're doing, I don't know, concierge services and you're coming to the property and cooking meals for the clients, now it's not a passive activity no more. And it makes it this active activity that's going to be subject to self-employment tax, an extra 15%. So I'm not saying that you can't do those activities. And if you choose to do those activities, I actually would create another business activity, another separate business entity that then in turn just does that. Hey, I'm going to prepare meals on the property for you.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
because rental property, just like from a tax perspective, is going to be on your what we call your Schedule E. That's not subject to this self-employment tax, and you want to keep it that way. And that's whether you own the property or you're doing arbitrage.
Got it. Okay. Okay. Now, I'm a bit of a dummy when it comes to tax, so excuse me if I'm asking the most elementary questions in the world, but is that ultimately the difference between the LLC and the S Corp? It's that ability to almost segregate those two types of income?
Not necessarily. So a LLC for tax purposes is what we call a disregarded entity. So you can actually have a LLC, which is a separate legal entity that gives you unlimited liability protections. But from a tax standpoint, a LLC, if you're a single member LLC, you're either going to be treated as for tax purposes, as a sole proprietor, or you can make an election to be taxed as a corporation, whether it's a S corporation or a C corporation. For the folks that are doing rental arbitrage, disclaimer, consult your own CPA attorney. I don't know your situation, but generally, there's no reason that you would need to put that activity in an S corporation because it already has a favorable treatment as a passive income activity. So I wouldn't do it if I'm doing straight arbitrage. I wouldn't put that in S corp myself. Clarence isn't going to do it for his business. Now, if you do some other activities, maybe you are a handyman and you got a handyman business, you're an accountant, you got your own accounting business, which is an active activity. At some point when your profit levels reach a certain magnitude, it may be more beneficial to be treated as an S corporation. And one of the primary reasons is that it can help you to minimize the overall employment taxes that you are taking.
Gotcha.
Because when you're an S corp, what then has to happen is the IRS requires you to pay yourself what they call a reasonable salary. So essentially, you put yourself on payroll. And so, easy example, let's say a real estate agent, they make $100,000 in profit before considering paying themselves. Now, if they switch to an S corp model, and let's say they pay themselves, I don't know, $35,000, because that is what is considered a reasonable salary for a real estate agent, employment tax is only going to be attributable to that $35,000 instead of the entire $100,000 if they weren't. Which, if we calculate the numbers, 15% on 35,000 is like right under 5,000, as opposed to 15%
On
employment
100,000.
tax on 100,000.
Right.
$15,000. There's a $10,000 tax saving by switching to the S Corp.
Now
But
we are.
yeah, so
That's
that's kind
fantastic.
of where that's at play, but that's not applicable as it relates to this rental activity.
Amazing. Amazing. That is some really advanced stuff. I hope somebody out there gets some value from that. Again, cavemen like me, my knuckles are dragging on the ground, so not as applicable, but the
Yeah.
advanced hosts out there, I hope that really helps. That was absolutely incredible, guys. If there's other people out there, whether it's in the DMV area or beyond, how could they reach out to you for advice like this and beyond? Other hosts who've really figured out that, holy cow, I'm making some money. I need to protect my cash. How could they find you guys?
I'm on Instagram at Norfolk CPA. That's probably the easiest way to, if you're on social media platforms. I mean, my personal Facebook is facebook.com/Norfolk CPA. So I'm on Facebook, Instagram. Robin.
Yes, I'm on Instagram as well. I'm Boss Lady Deal on Instagram, and of course Facebook, my name, which is Robin Deal.
Wonderful, wonderful. And how do we spell that, Boss Lady Beal? I think Norfolk CPA we can figure out. But if the fans out there, how can we find you? How do you spell your Instagram?
Okay, Boss Lady Deal, SSLADY, and then
Mhm.
my last name is Beal, which is B like Bravo,
Mhm.
EALE.
Got it. We'll have this all for those who are watching us on YouTube. We'll have all the links so you guys can click it in the show notes here. You can follow these guys. Do you guys have an account for specifically your real estate portfolio or the investment side? What if people out there want to invest with you and come meet with you in the DMV area?
Yeah, they definitely can reach out. We can kind of have a conversation, set what our expectations on both ends, kind of get what your investing philosophy is. Do you want to be, again, do you want to be more passive? Do you want to be more active in the business? I teach part-time at a university, and actually one of the newer deals that we're doing, that's one of these onboarding properties, is one of my former students. She was in, I think, either my accounting or entrepreneurship class. She's a property owner. She lives, up in the DC area. She kind of knew what I was doing. And at one point, we were talking and she's like, I don't know, Airbnb thing. And she rented it to somebody else. Then she came back and got a property manager. Then she came back to me like over a year later. Hey, professor, I want to do the thing with you. We got a casino coming in Portsmouth.
Oh yeah.
I want to do that deal with you. And so we were able to kind of negotiate, and part of what the negotiation is, so she owns a property, straight rental arbitrage with her. But what she says is, on subsequent properties, I want you to kind of show me how to do this when I want to start going in that route. And, and once I know it, I can decide if I want to do it solo or just keep letting you manage it as I add more properties to my portfolio.
That's great. That's great. I actually did just get word that you guys do have a casino coming up. So I can only imagine the amount of travel and accommodations that are going to be needed in that area. Congratulations to you both. Before we let you guys go, if you don't mind, we have been talking about numbers the whole time. Do you guys mind if we talk about some operational numbers and how you guys are performing right now?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, great. At 16 properties, what are you guys grossing now per month?
Oh man, I gotta look at it from a per property standpoint. But let's see, the townhouses in slow season, they might gross about $3,000 in slow
Gotcha.
season.
Gotcha. And obviously we're in slow season, so it is what it is.
Yeah.
Well,
So on average, about 3,000. Once we hit that springtime, then that number can jump up anywhere from 4 to 5,000. And then once we hit summer, you're looking at anywhere, it can be 6 to 8,000 on some of the smaller properties. The bigger properties can hit about 9-10,000 in gross.
yeah, I do a lot of single family homes as well, so I know summer it's a fun time. What would you guys say that you're grossing in the peak season on monthly revenue?
Like I said, per property, on the smaller properties that we have in the summer, we're probably grossing about, let's say, about at least 6,000 per property.
Mhm.
On the gross side, the bigger properties, again, they could be 8,000.
600 a month.
Yeah. So I mean,
100,000.
yeah, so the numbers come in. The interesting thing with us is our lifestyle hasn't changed so much because as
We're
soon as
busy.
Because you're too busy.
not only are
Yeah.
we busy, but
You're
we're
too busy.
also
You find me,
We're-
I'm at the house now.
yeah, we're also we're constantly reinvesting.
Oh,
Yes.
that's true. That's
Right. Because we know every time we set up a property, depending on whether it's a 3-bedroom, 1 bath, 4-bedroom, 2 baths, we kind of know here's the benchmark of what we put in each property, in terms of whatever the smart lock system that we're going to use, supply closet locks, the TVs,
Rain
bed
camera.
setup, rain cameras, etc.
Yeah.
Awesome, guys. Well, honestly, I really enjoyed this interview. I love how we have this analytical side and then the soul and the artistic side. It's just such a well-balanced look at such a well-oiled machine. So thank you guys both very much. For those of you just joining us or have been following this, we're going to have the show notes at the bottom. If you guys want to get in contact with Clarence or Robin, we'll have those there. And of course, we do this show every single week. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye,
Thank you,
everyone.
Donnie.
It was a pleasure being.
Thanks, guys. I'll find you
right.
guys on Instagram. We'll be friends now.
All right, sounds
course.
good.
Bye.
Cheers. Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.